Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central on a Friday morning. We are back and ready to go. The weekend is here finally, and we do know what that means. It means that you'll be enjoying a full dose of Breakfast Central today, and then starting off from tomorrow, it's going to be Breakfast Extra. But in the meantime, let's quickly welcome you and tell you that we have a lot for you, a lot in store. Stories still coming from River State is very rife. Not forgetting too, latest story from Oyo, and also not forgetting very interesting conversations where you do have gubernatorial candidates. More importantly, you do have governors and you'd say would-be presidents meeting together to fan them away in order to ensure that Nigeria is not, in quotes, captured. But we'll tell you all about that in a moment. I am Joe Hansen saying good morning.
And I'm Benga Aborowa. Welcome to Breakfast Central, the best place to kickstart your day with the latest news, information, and insightful discussions. Like Joe said, we have quite a lot to talk about today, especially with regards to governance affairs in our country. So many things happening in Abuja and elsewhere. So sit back, relax, grab that coffee, and let's dig in. Joe, where do we start from today, our wake-up conversations?
Yeah, Binga, waking up with the conversations, no doubt. Let me take a sip first, and then...
this story is really what
I think I need to take that sip again,
yes. Unbelievable.
Because you need to cool off before you actually launch in. What do the motivational speakers say? They say you need to perspire before aspire. Well, this is a story of a Kogi state lawmaker who starts off the wake-up conversation this morning. Well, he has empowered members of his community with something that will shock you. Well, is a motorcycle tire the most pressing need for constituents? If I ask you, what are the essential support like? Healthcare, education, or business grants could have a greater impact. Do you think so? Well, the video you're watching right now on your screen is a Kogi state lawmaker who is indeed empowering his constituents with what? No, that's not food. No, that's not a medical care. No, that's not even money. Oh, you think it's food? Not at all. But it's actually tire. And each person is getting one. I don't know if it's actually for a tricycle or a motorcycle, Benga, but let's just take a look at what's going on. Take a look for yourselves.
Congratulations. Camera low.
This is very shocking, to say the least. And the gentleman there is saying congratulations. Congratulations on what? Is this the most pressing needs of your constituents? And then there's a handshake. You're doing it in front. You're doing it in front of the cameras. You think you've done something really great. How low can we get as a people? This is a new type of low. Like, doesn't he have advisors? Doesn't he talk to his people? And where are the motorcycles?
You're even asking of the motorcycles, Benga. How many tires does a motorcycle use? One. So they were shaking you, congratulations, you collect one tire. So you get home. Are you going to hang the tire in your room and then look at it?
Maybe there are unicycles somewhere that they didn't show us. Because what's the point? What's the point? This is... I
can't believe this.
It's really strange, these sort of things that happen in
I can't believe this,
and our leaders just get away with all of this in broad daylight. We need to really hold the politicians accountable, because that's an insult to his constituents, sharing a single motorcycle tire in the name of empowerment.
It's really sad because you may wonder that we think by now in 2025 we may have abandoned this old method of empowering constituents or constituencies, or you could say communities. In the past, we do know that grinding machines, not forgetting to, we've seen even shovels are being given and so on. Some have said it's to empower the farmers, wheelbarrows and so on and so forth. But let us, if you're actually representing the people, let us take time. If you're watching this and you represent the people, I know, Binga, no matter what we say here, for some it's just mere gibberish. We're just blabbing. Because as the one representing my people and the one who has been chosen or elected by the people, I can choose to do whatever I want. As far as I'm concerned, you news anchors are just blabbing. Let me keep doing what I do. But you see something, until we come to the agreement that we would never, that's the word, the key word here is never, we would never move forward as a people, because there's one truth, and I want to state it here this morning. What makes a nation grow, it starts from community. So from one community to another community, like they say, from one community at a time, and then you start going into local governments. From one local government, of course, it forms the state. From one state, of course, it forms states, and you know what it means when they say states, of course, come together to form a country. So if you don't start from this is grassroots. So this is what you give at the grassroots level, Binga. You can imagine when if I'm a lawmaker and I'm giving this at the grassroots level and I eventually make it to the state level where I'm heading a state, I mean, come on, still buy more tires. This time, give them a tire and possibly add slippers, a pair of slippers.
Well, wonders shall never end. Now, moving away from Kogi State to Oyo State, if you do recall, last year, around Christmas, there was a stampede, and the Oyo State government filed charges against the Ooni of Ife's ex-wife, Oriyomi Hamzat. She was charged and taken to court for manslaughter because there was a stampede, and quite sadly, quite a number of people died. But the latest is that the Oyo State government, although it seems to be good news because we all follow the story and understand as she was just trying to do good, you know, give out palliatives and Christmas gifts. But what motivated the Oyo State government? Now, they've decided to drop the charges. Now that they've dropped the charges against the former queen, was it due to lack of pressure, of evidence rather, political pressure, or strategic moves to maintain relationships with influential figures? Does this mean the 35 children who lost their lives in the process won't get justice, or are they forgotten? Because you can't just drop charges. Lives were lost. What happened? What's the why? You should give us reason for dropping these charges. Does it mean these children won't get justice? What lessons have we learned from this episode? These are questions that are begging for answers in Oyo State.
Very, very key questions, Binga, very key questions, because now you start to wonder and start to think what the future really holds for the families who have lost their children, their loved ones, because there was a stampede. Whether we like it or not, if we have to paint this picture, we like to paint it with a brush that shows the good deeds, which is the good side, and of course the negative one, which happens to be the bad side. The good side is the princess herself wanted to do good for her community. There we go again. But Benga, can you see the difference between what she wanted to do and what the lawmaker was doing? Can you see the difference? She wasn't giving out tires. She was giving out food, and then there were announcements or pronouncements, if I'm right, if I can recall, and my memory serves me right, that funds would equally be given, funds in terms of cash. And we do know that we live in very precarious times. The situations are tough. So everybody who heard that, oh, you can also win money, decided to say, you know what, let's go there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the good deed. The bad side was that we've talked about this from the event organizing aspect. We've looked at it from crowd control aspect, yes, from security aspect, to ensuring that everyone who comes there is indeed handled appropriately in terms of registration, how they get in. And the videos did show that people were even flying. Let's use our, Nigerian lingua franca in terms of the pidgin. People were flying fence. You know, people were jumping in just to
part of
ensure
it,
that
yeah.
parents were even carrying their children and like, you know, like basketball, trying to throw them into the space and tell them, go and be great. You know, do something for your family, get something there. So can we rightly say that it was her fault that the crowd became uncontrollable? The answer, well, would be no.
They should
You
have.
know?
I mean, people would differ. There are
Yeah.
different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Because in Lagos, for example, if you're organizing parties, all these event halls, they have emergency procedures. Some of them, even Lagos State would require you, if you ask event vendors, to provide an ambulance just in case you have emergencies in those venues. You do know when in precarious times, the economy of the country isn't so great. So they should, they should have had the foresight to anticipate the likelihood of a stampede. And when you're dealing with large numbers of people, you should streamline these events. This is not the first time people are giving away palliatives. Victor Osimhen, a Nigerian footballer, did come back home in December last year. Yeah. And it empowered some people with tricycles and all of that. And it was well organized. So let's do better next time. And she should have done it in collaboration with the state government so they can do a proper crowd control and event, organize it to be health and safety checks. Yes.
Well, it's one thing we're waiting for right now is we'll just wait to see what the justice system will do to either compensate the lives that have been lost and also ensure that they console the families and the families can be able to get closure on this situation. Because if you're just dropping charges, not just for the princess, but of course, we do recall what happened as well. The owner of the radio station was part of that and so on. Those are the videos you see there, the gory videos that we had, of course, to blur, where parents were equally killed, not just children. So husbands lost their wives. Wives who were possibly at home and said, you know what, why are we staying at home, kids? Let's go have fun at the same time. Let's win money. Let's get something for the family. And there you have it. It's really sad. But then again, I do get your point, Binga. I think the key aspect for us and for me here is, can we get at least a closure from the justice system on what would be done to the lives that have been lost? Are they going to be compensated? And if, like they said, they have to be compensated, how much? How much is too much for lives that have been lost? And I'm just going to hinge it finally on my own view. The point is, I don't think the princess would have woken up in the morning surreptitiously saying, listen, I'm just going to make sure that people will come and die. No, she didn't think about that. She just wanted to do good. And this happened. It could happen to anyone, unfortunately. But then again, lessons have been learned. And let's see what will happen from here.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's move to our final story on Wake Up Conversations. It's got to do with River State, and I bet you know that the conversations are still, ongoing. The National Assembly yesterday did indeed accepted the emergency declaration by the number one citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There was mild drama here and there, especially in the House of Representatives, where indeed one of the sitting rep members wanted to speak, and he was making a point, Binga. He was clearly saying that, listen, why don't we take a head count and find out if we are enough, up to two-thirds. Yeah.
Rightly so, and it didn't get his way, and it was subjected to a vote, and so many civil society organizations and lawyers, they're quite livid at the moment at this, what they termed unconstitutional behavior by members of the National Assembly. It's a house of laws, and they refuse to follow the law. The Constitution clearly says should be subjected to a voice of an approval of two-thirds majority of the Senate and the House of Representatives. There was no head count, and let's take a listen to the gentleman, and then we'll come back.
Section 305, subsection 6B, that says for us to consider this President's request that this House must have two-thirds of members present. Mr. Speaker, may I please ask?
We already have our attendance registers, honorable colleague,
Mr.
and we will
Speaker.
rely on that to ensure.
Mr. Speaker, this is a constitutional.
Yes,
Can
we
we do a head count, Mr. Speaker?
There
We
is no-
ascertain that we have a quorum.
Yes.
We ascertain that we have.
yes,
that we
yes.
have
Our attendance register will
our
guide us
constitutional
accordingly,
requirements.
honorable. Please. So our attendance registers will guide us accordingly. Members are still signing, and at the end of the day, we'll take attendance.
Mr. Speaker, can that be made available now for the members to know whether we have formed a quorum? Whether we have formed a quorum, Mr. Speaker, as enshrined in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, so that our deliberations are not going to be deliberations based on illegality.
It is noted, honorable. Please, you can sit down.
Is it so difficult to take a head count? You can't just rely on attendance register. You know how we used to do it in school. Someone would say, I didn't go for biology class, please sign for me, and all of that. And this, the honorable reps members said this is a constitutional matter. The entire world is looking at us. What is so hard about doing things the proper way? How do you subject such an important thing like declaring a state of emergency, suspending a sitting governor, things that are this weighty to a voice vote? It's very, very uncalled for, and it's unconstitutional because the laws are there.
Well, Big, I can tell you that ever since the number one citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, made this declaration on Tuesday night at 7 a.m. on the national broadcast, the most used word from Tuesday up until now this morning is unconstitutional. Unconstitutional. We've seen former presidents use it. We've seen, members of the opposition parties use it. We've seen some political, bigwigs also use it. Those who are not in agreement with the way the processes are being carried out. Now, don't forget, too, that the House of Representatives did sit yesterday because just as the 1999 Constitution says that the House of Rep, of course, not forgetting too, the Senate, everyone will actually look at it together and then they would have to agree in one voice. They do have nothing less than 2 weeks to do so, and they've done that immediately. And Nigerians are indeed what's the word? They're actually amazed, let me use that, surprised that, oh, wow, this is really quick. But then again, if you look at it on the other side, Binga, there have been threats, made, and I can say this categorically because yesterday, just around the evening/night, the governor of course, River State, because he is still the governor, put out a speech through his spokesperson and debunked some of the mentions or some of the points the president made in his national broadcast. Yes, he did do that yesterday. And one of it was that he said, no, I did not break the National Assembly just to ensure that I satisfy myself. In fact, National Assembly, the State Assembly is 80% complete, is in completion process. He did say that. He also said that he has been preaching peace, just as everyone knows. So why would he still send people to blow up, the pipelines? And just to score points that he wasn't doing that. If the president can recall, he was one of the persons who stood at the forefront and said, no, do not be agitated. Let's continue to go for peace. That it was the FCT minister who instigated and pushed the people by talking about the Ijaws being a minority. And he also said, if you recall, that it is not only the Ijaws that know how to blow pipelines. The Ekweres and all that can also blow pipelines. And in other words, the spokesperson was saying that, listen, let the security operatives, let them investigate properly. They would be able to find a key pointer to why these things are happening. There were also rumors somewhere that he did say that the pipelines that were blown, the others or whatever, did not come from him. So these are the conversations that will indeed linger. But then again, I think Nigerians can put this to bed eventually. When I say so, I simply mean that whatever the president has said, as long as he's gotten the nod of the National Assembly and the lawmakers, then it's as good as done.
Yeah, that's it. And we'll definitely look into the happenings of River State proper during the course of Breakfast Central today. So stay with us.